Wow. Well, here it is. Let's talk about Iowa State. Let's get it out of the way. Let's get the jokes out of the way. Right?
The fuck is going on, man? With the
Yeah,
gambling. I mean, what happened? Iowa State was in the Big 12 championship, not too long ago. And
I
now
know.
their
I know.
starting
But
quarterback is suspended for the year or whatever. Like, what is that?
well, he's getting criminal charges is what he's getting.
Is it? Oh my
So,
God.
yeah. And then there was also another offensive lineman that they had, a backup that was like tampering with evidence or whatever.
JJ Cole, though. JJ Cole.
JJ Cold season. If there's a bright side to all this, it could be that you guys are going to see your Messiah maybe sooner than people thought. Because that's a guy, that's a dude, that's their true freshman quarterback. So this was a tough analysis for me because, one, we're not used to Iowa State having a not so good, well, at least in the last couple of years, we're not used to having them having just an absolute terrible rushing attack. We're not used to it. They were terrible last year. Very, very terrible. And that's not a
They missed
secret.
Brees Hall.
Yeah, they missed Brees Hall. Missed a couple offensive linemen there. Like, okay, look, Brock is gone. He's out of there now. But enter Cartevious Norton. I think Iowa State fans really like him a lot. I'm not going to say he's going to be like super special, but I think a lot of Iowa State fans would argue that he's actually the guy, that he should have been the guy. But also, I think there's another group of Iowa State fans that believe Eli Sanders is also a guy too. So it feels like you guys might be a little bit deeper over there. Okay, look, and I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater. All I'm saying is that the question should be asked, right? Was Xavier Hutchinson that big of a loss? Was he that big of a loss? Right?
He had 163 targets, which is a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. It's a
The only
huge
problem
amount.
does Xavier Hutchinson, right, with all due respect to Xavier Hutchinson and Iowa State fans, does he deserve 163 targets in a year? No, he does not. But last year, the whole room struggled with drops, right? And so, like, you might as well throw it to Hutchinson because at least he's going to catch it, right?
Well, I mean,
well,
they'd be 6-6 if Xavier
I
Hutchinson had caught
guess you're
two.
right.
There were two drops that Xavier Hutchinson had that led them to being 4-8. Is all I'm gonna say.
I guess you're right. But Jalen Noel is an interesting guy. He's going to come back. His drops are getting better. It seems like he's kind of fixing his drop problem. Jaden Higgins from Eastern Kentucky seems to be that second role, a number 2 guy, as well as Demetrius Stanley there, who's a senior there as well. But yeah.
Okay. Well, the good news is, right, like when this originally came out, so the line was actually at 5.5, right? I can actually see a situation where 4.5 is value, right? Because you lose Hunter Deckers, sure. And look, the investigations aren't done. Maybe there's more guys, right? But it doesn't feel like these losses are actually that big if you believe in JJ Cole, right? So, like, I think there's a large group of people out there that are taking the under at 4.5 that shouldn't be. Like, I don't think people should be taking the under at 4.5. In fact, I lean over on this, actually. I was leaning over at 5.5. Now, the problem is, though, it's a really tough schedule. It's a really, really, really tough schedule. You got to go to Ohio and win, right? And that's not an easy game. There's not a great defense over there in the MAC, but they have an elite backfield, right? And if you're not ready to stop that, then it could be tough because they lost Will McDonald, they lost MJ Anderson. So that on the defensive line, but they still have talent there, right? They still have talent there. They've always done a great job there developing guys on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm not like super worried about that. The thing is, though, is like what's weird to me is that these allegations are coming out and they only brought in like what, 4 transfers, 5 transfers, 6 transfers. They didn't bring in a whole lot of transfers. And does that tell you that Matt Campbell actually like believes in this roster? That might. So like there's 2 ways to look at that. You're like, okay, they were not ready or they didn't land their guys. I think Iowa State could have landed some guys. I just don't know that they wanted to, right? And Matt Campbell has said that he's okay with the transfer portal, right? Like Dave Aranda was a guy who wasn't, now he is, right? And Matt Rule was a guy who wasn't, but now he is, right? Like, so like there's guys changing all the time. Dabo in the next coming years was, but now maybe he will be in the next couple of years. Hopefully, Clemson fans are hoping for that. But I just think like 4.5 could it could legitimately be valuable. I'm not going to be taking it, but that there is value there because I do think, yeah, Xavier Hutchinson is a loss. He's a loss. He was a good football player, but I think in the aggregate, like if Jalen Noel can fix his drop issues, I think they're still going to have a pretty decent. And if they can just improve at all on the offensive line, if they can just improve at all and run the ball like half decently. I mean, like 3 yards per carry. Oh, that's brutal, right? If they can like improve that even a marginal amount, their defense is not going to be as good as it was last year, maybe because they also lost what's his name, Anthony Johnson, right, the safety.
Mm-hmm.
They also lost him too, but I still think there's enough talent on this team. Like they could win a bowl, or they could go to a bowl game, but that requires them to win. Like they'd have to go maybe to Baylor or Provo and win at one of those places, right? It means winning at Nippert, right, in Cincinnati. So a lot of those like winnable games, you actually find yourself on the road, right, which is really tough. So scheduling dynamic is not in Iowa State's favor at all. But if you're looking at sheer value, it's an interesting. It would be an interesting overtake if someone were to take that. I would not blame someone, which sounds crazy after everything that's happened. That sounds crazy. Iowa State fans, sounds crazy, but maybe there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, to me, I lean the over very, very much. I don't know if it's quite there yet to make a play. I want to see how the quarterbacks are looking, the next week. It'll be JJ Cole or Rocco Becht. It's probably going to be Becht early, but right, if JJ Cole continues to progress like he has been, it's going to look very tempting. I think I'm going to look back on this year and be upset that I didn't take the over. Right, last year, let's not pretend that Hunter Deckers though is like losing. It's All-American quarterback. I mean, they were 110th in offense last year. I mean, was it all his fault? No, but they had a bunch of turnovers, right? So he threw some picks, and I don't know. I think the O-line, like you said, the O-line is getting better. They're bringing a new coach, Ryan Clinton. He's had success where he's been so far. It seems like it was a hit in the spring and continued over into the fall. Right, their two guards, Daryl Simmons and Jared Hufford, seem to be playing really, really good football right now. They got some younger guys that are backing those guys up, that they have depth there now. New coaching and depth is always a good sight for an offensive line room. We talked about the wide receivers already. Defensively, like you said, lose some pieces, but also, right, the defensive line's going to be pretty darn good. Tyler Oyedime is pretty damn good. Like he dominated this spring. Jefferson Adams, good player as well. Like was Joey Peterson is pretty good at the edge. He's been surging in spring and fall camp as well. Dominique Orange as well is huge NFL upside. They love him there. He's still a young guy, but he's a big guy, nose tackle there. To be honest, but the defensive back that I want to talk about that I think is really, really cool story is the true freshman preferred walk-on, right? Drew Surges. He has been balling in camp. That is really, really awesome. He might start at your star position out of the gate, if not early, if not in the week one, but pretty damn early in the year. He seems to be awesome. He's a guy I'm absolutely gonna be rooting for. All right, as a preferred walk-on to earn a starting job in his first year. He won't be a walk-on very long. I think I'm gonna kick myself for not taking the over on this. The reason that I don't is honestly that Iowa game in week 2. I think Iowa is just really, really good. I'm really high on them. So it's gonna be hard to win 5 games outside of that. If you're gonna have to lose one and not a conference. But yeah, and their schedule is not super easy in the Big 12 either. Like you talked about, their dynamics of their schedule is not great either. But they might be a much better team, but only win maybe the same amount of games, right, that they did last year, which will be tough for Matt Campbell. I know the Matt Campbell naysayers will love that, but you should be happy you have Matt Campbell at Iowa State, right? He should be long gone by now, but he's still there. He loves it there, and I think he's going to continue to grow this roster. Maybe not this year, but in the next couple of years. with JJ Cole and company. This could be a really good team in the Big 12, the new look Big 12. All right.
Yeah, definitely. And look, Iowa State fans, you need to realize how far Matt Campbell's taking y'all. All right. And this was not a 4-8 team last year. How about 117th in turnover margin, which we know if you're an analytics guy, right, is that stuff regresses, right? That stuff regresses. Like quarterbacks, maybe it doesn't regress so much, depending, but they got a new offensive coordinator in there, so promoted from within, but it's still new. It's new play caller. So I'm just saying, like, if some of that turnover margin switches, they can run the ball. Some of these guys on defense still step up the way that they're used to doing it. It would be crazy, but they could make a bowl game.